Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. And in today's discussion, we will talk about English. It's simple. Um, so, what about English that I'm going to be talking about? As you know, I'm not actually an English speaker myself. Um, English is actually not what's called not the main language of my country, and I actually come from Southeast Asia, and we have our own main language, and then and one only, and of course after that is the regional language, basically. Like for instance, if you probably from Europe, you probably know that for example, like in uh, Ireland, and they speak Irish, right? And English as well, I think. um, yeah, you can think about it like that. They know English, but also like their own language, which is Irish, I think. um, well, maybe I'm wrong. And then in another example, probably if you're from United States, the accent, like in the western part of that, you know, is probably different from the accent from people from the eastern and from the northern or southern. Well, you can simply think about it like that. And in my place, actually, there's a lot of regional, you know, uh, language. This is illustration of my uh, country over here, and I live over here, and the language that we were talking over here is actually different from people from here. Like we have very different, not only accent but also the structure of the language, and then very different from people from the north or northern west, and also in the northern area, and especially in the eastern or the northeast or the island area over here. There's lots of language in general. So what make and because of that, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let's go back. And yeah, so the thing about that is because we have too many language and main language, and then there's just too many uh like race language and stuff like that. We don't consider English as our main priority, basically. And it's just like optional, optional if you want to take course for yourself and stuff like that. And yeah, I did actually, since I was in uh, kindergarten. Even I have like lots of my parents gave me lots of cartoon, or educational cartoon, or just cartoon in general that use English. So at that time, I didn't know what these people or characters are talking about, and I just basically just enjoy what I can watch without knowing what they are talking about. And starting from my kindergarten, elementary school, actually, uh, then I started my first English course. So basically, it was grade two. So in grade two, there's actually a competition at that time. It's a spelling bee competition, and you know, I actually joined that because uh, during my first two grade, I was actually one of, the best, I would say, kids that, you know, have that had um, like great English skills among my friends. And in my second grade, my teacher actually, appoint me to, join this spelling bee competition. And actually, surprisingly, I won that competition. I got my first rank, and then uh, as a side prize, I actually get course like free course of English course, basically from the from um, the foundation that actually hold this event or competition in general. And since then, I just learned my English since I was elementary from grade 1 to 6, and then at my junior high school from grade 1 to 3. Then I again keep filling my spare time after school by joining the English course. And then even in high school, and yeah, just like that. And I graduated high school in 2015, and since then I uh, you know uh, start my university right at 2015. And I got in university, and because of that I got no time to actually attend English course. And so I stopped practicing English since then. But in my dorm, like when I was off class, I still learn English by myself. Even before this time, I just watch YouTube basically. I started watching YouTube actually since my high school, not even high school, since junior high school. I think it's like the first time of YouTube becoming something. Um, in 2011, I think that's my first time I actually, know YouTube and uh, watch stuff over there. And of course, during this time backwards, there's no actually, not really that many contents that piqued my interest. Because, uh, first there, I got no internet at my home. I just use my school internet, and it's very difficult for that. So, yeah, before this time, I just basically use my internet at my school and just downloaded the video basically, using the third party that allowed you to download videos, even though I think it's kind of illegal. But I don't know, I mean, it's open source, right? um, I watched this video at home because I got the internet. And yeah, but after this time, I moved to my university area. And there I got, basically there's unlimited amount of internet access over there. And I use this, yes, still to watch this YouTube actually since 2015. Then 2016 I started consider subscribing to people because I want to learn my English, even though I'm not attending any English course. Thus I just do it by myself basically. And up until now, 2022, I'm still doing that. And yeah, uh, I learned English by myself basically during this time. And I'm kind of proud of myself because the first time I watch, start watching YouTube regularly is basically just me watching anyone, but I turn on the subtitles, and so that I know what they are saying because it's written over here. So I know how to pronounce stuff. And uh, just basic English words that are common to use. And yeah, that's basically how I did it. And starting from 2018, I think I start not using this anymore, the subtitles. Excuse me. And so I decided to turn off these subtitles and tried my best to understand what they are saying. And of course, all the people I watch also not 100% English speaker themselves. Like some of them is Russian too, and then uh, you know like people from Europe that didn't actually speak English as their main language. So it's kind of difficult from that time, but eventually I understand. Up until now, I never used subtitles anymore, and actually, surprisingly, when I go to the cinema or just watching movies from my phone, uh, I actually turn on the subtitles because I kind of want to understand that in how to use English in movie, which has the long duration of time, right? So and it actually tells a story, so I want to know how I can understand the story without having to knowing the meaning or translation of that. And yeah, and but so yeah, since I don't know, like already 15 years by now, probably six plus six and plus another six, almost 20 years basically. um then I, in general, I can tell you that the thing that uh, makes me difficult to learn English is basically because of the variation of words. Like for instance, you have uh, a word from the past form, and then from the present form, and then future or perfect form, basically. Uh, and the adjective, I think the thing that you do, for instance, the word eat, it has various various form, right? If it's used for the past, then it become ate, and then if it's used now, it become eat with additional s or ing, and then for the future it's eaten. And yeah, the thing about this is that it's kind of difficult because my main language actually don't have all of this doesn't actually exist. So if I want to say it yesterday, I just basically just say I eat yesterday. I ate yesterday, and then if I eat right now, then I just say I eat, and then if I have eaten, then I'll just say I eat again. Of course, I ate recently, not I have eaten recently. And yeah, and sometimes when I speak, then I have to think first, like how I will use these word in the sentence, like the structure, so that it's structure or grammatically correct. And yeah, and of course you probably have heard like lots of mistakes that I made, but um, it's because I also, if I speak English, actually I talk about I think two times. The first is the meaning, what I'm going to say actually, like what I want to say, and then just translate it to English. And then the second is the structure or the grammatical, basically. Like again, if I use a word, am I using it? Which type of form I will use this word? And the thing that this is actually in every sentence, so I need to uh, you know think almost every time I speak. But I of course I don't really think about that hard. Like I just let it flow and just let it speak naturally. But it's kind of difficult. Sometimes I can, sometimes I cannot. And Yeah, that's basically my first problem with English is because there's a lots of variation which actually only has one meaning in my in my main language, and it's kind of difficult. And then not only that, the other thing is when if it's using pronouns, and then if it's for there's like plural form or singular form. Let's put she or he over here, and then this includes as, and then this does not. So I need to think about this also, and then there's lots of layer of speaking in English, but I guess that's actually fine because you can actually there's a basic structure in that specific meaning for that, which is great because um, for instance, in in according to my language, if I want to say I eat, uh, then we don't know what this means. Like, of course I eat, but is it yesterday or right now or recently or maybe in the future? It's just the same uh, you know pronunciation, which is I eat, where in English you can tell that this means that it's happening in the present. So because if it's in the past it should be ate, and if it's for perfect form it will be have eaten and stuff like that. So yeah, or even right now then means I am eating, right? With the ing in the end. So it's actually specific. You can always don't have to assume stuff, which is great, I guess. But then, from the perspective of a person that actually only use this simple structure as grammar and stuff, it's quite difficult to uh, to adjust or adapt myself in using this type of form. And the fact that I have to translate what I meant into English in the first place is also difficult. So yeah, but other than that I think it's fine. I mean, of course there's a lot of secondary, I would say, I would always refer this as secondary or secondary word or higher form of word, uh, which means that the words that we never heard before that has the same meaning as other word, which is easier to remember. Like um, maybe I can give an example like um, okay, for instance, I want to say that I see. See means to look, right? But then there's a more complicated form of the word see or look, which is like, for instance, observe or uh, stuff like watch. Even though watch is kind of simple, and then for instance, if I want to look something, then it means for instance, I leer the other person. Like, this is like not really usual word. You can just pick the word see or look, which is more simpler in the meaning, right? And yeah, stuff like that. Of course, uh, this type of secondary word, as I would say, is actually quite common uh, in the formal occasion. Like, for instance, I go to universe and I just got lots of books for in me, and this very thick book that I got, and there's lots of words that I never heard existed and actually exist. And yeah, I'm just glad that it increased my own vocabulary, which is great. And yeah, but if I want to speak for myself, I will actually always use the simpler form of the word, like words that is very, very common to use in general, so that I don't overthink about words basically. And yeah, basically that's about it for this English thing from me. And yeah, I found English actually quite difficult because of the reasons that I've explained earlier, which is the various form of word. But I think it's when just practicing in general can make you excel in it. And yeah, probably 10 years from now, just look if my English is actually better than now. Maybe 10 years, or well, 10 years is probably too long. Maybe 5 years from now in 2027, then yeah, you can kind of tell if my English got better or worse. Anyway, that's all the time that I've got for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you again tomorrow. Goodbye.